Welcome to this video about Google Drive, Google Sites, and sharing and privacy. What we're going to be doing today is focusing on how to make sure you can get the most out of your Google site and make sure only the right people can access those files without having to worry about the wrong people accessing other files. So let's jump right into it. So let's go over Google Sites first and make sure that we understand what is happening with our files and so forth. So the structure of Google works like this. We have a Google Drive, and as you can see, everything that you produce, whether you're typing something in Google Docs or you take a picture or maybe you produce a video on your computer and then upload it to Google Drive, is automatically going to be secured, meaning it's going to lock it down and make sure that you are the only one who can access it by default, which is great because we don't want to accidentally share the wrong information. So then you go in and you create a Google site. And believe it or not, this too is actually saved in your Google Drive as well, which means by default, it too is locked. It's private. No one else can see it but you, which makes it a really good default setting in order to protect your information. So what happens is you've created this Google site, and now what you do is you start to attach all of your files to it. You post a video, you link one of your Google documents, you have a spreadsheet with some information on it and things like that. And now you're done and you're publishing your Google site. So what do? Well, you change the publishing settings so that anyone can view it. So you unlock the permissions, basically allowing everyone to see what is going on. But the thing is, everything that was attached is still in Google Drive, which means it is still locked. And that means that in order for us to actually make that information visible on the internet, we need to take extra steps in order to make those files, those linked documents visible for anyone else. So there's two solutions that we can look at. The first solution is sharing the individual files. The pros of this, of course, you can control the individual files and their sharing options, which is great because that means that you're going to choose one particular file and just share that file. So there's no risk of accidentally sharing other files that you didn't intend to. The downside to this, though, is that if you have a lot of files that you're trying to share, that's going to be extremely tedious to have to go in and adjust the sharing settings for each one, because as you'll see here in a moment, there are quite a few steps to do that. Now, if you're only sharing maybe 3 to 5, maybe even 10 documents at most, this would probably be the best option for you, as it's going to allow you to control specifically those files. The other option, which we'll take a look at as well, is creating a shared folder. Now, the advantage here, of course, is that it reduces that sharing process. You don't have to go in and keep sharing each individual file. You can simply share the folder, and everything that you place in there will be shared. This is going to help organize all of your files. You're going to have them all in one location. And then one option you could even look at is copying those files into that folder so that you have a duplicate that's shared and then another one there. Although that does tend to cause some confusion if you're editing one and you forget that there's a shared version, which we'll get into. And then, of course, the biggest advantage is you just drag and drop a file right into that folder, and it's automatically updated with the sharing settings that you configured. The downside, of course, each file needs to either be moved into the shared folder or you have to copy it into that shared folder. So that could be confusing if you're copying too many things, like I mentioned, and you have the original which you're editing and you forget that the shared version is a copy. You'd have to edit that one too, so that can be confusing. And of course, if you move it to the shared folder, then it might be hard to remember where it's at unless things are just perfectly organized, which rarely happens when it comes to lots and lots of files on Google Drive. And then, of course, the biggest risk is if you accidentally moved a different file or the wrong file into that folder, that file will automatically be shared, which puts you at risk of sharing or oversharing information, which is something that we certainly don't want to happen, especially in any kind of environment where we're dealing with sensitive information. So let's take a look at the first option for sharing individual files. What I've done here is I've created an example website on Google Site, and I've linked some different information because I wanted to show the different ways to do it. Now you'll notice that I can clearly see this spreadsheet, I can clearly see the video, and I can clearly see this video. That's because I'm the owner of these images and these files. This picture, I'm the owner of that, which means of course I have permission to view it. So the first thing that we're going to do now that we've identified that we've got all of these files here is we want to go ahead and publish this site. And that's going to help us to distinguish the difference between what has been shared and what's not being shared. So I'm going to go up here to publish. I'll leave that the same, that doesn't matter. And you can see right now it's specified to Anyone at Ware Academy. I'm going to manage that, and I'm going to change this one right here where it says published Anyone at Ware Academy can view. I'm going to change that so anyone can find and view the published version. We'll hit save. That looks good, and I'm going to hit done and publish. So now that this is published, what I can do up here is I can view the published site. Now, once again, I'm still in the same Google browser that I was, which means I'm the owner of these files. So naturally they come up for me, and you'd look at that and go, yeah, sure, everything looks good. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to copy this web address up here, Control-C it to copy it, and I'm going to open just a completely different tab on a different account. This is a personal account, and I'm going to paste that in there and hit enter. You'll notice the image popped up because that's already been shared in a different situation. But right here it says, Google Sheets, we're sorry this document is not published. And you can see down here this video says, hey, you need permission. Do you want to request access? So obviously there's a difference here. Now this video right here, you can see it's actually linked directly from YouTube. That means I don't control its permissions. It's already shared on YouTube. So by me linking the YouTube video in there, that's automatically going to be shared for me because I'm simply putting a reference to it in my web page. So how do we fix this? Very simply, we're going to go back to the edited version. And in this edited version, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this file. And you can see I get this little pop-up here. I'm going to open this in a new tab. Now this is going to take me directly to the file itself, where I now have the option in the top right corner to share it. I'm going to go to share, and rather than specify individual people, I'm going to go to advanced. And then right here where it says private, only you can access, I can change that to public on the web or on anyone with the link. I'm going to hit public on the web. I'm going to click save on that. And while it does give me the link to share, I don't need that because I've already posted it on my page. Now, I don't need to go back here and republish this because all I did was change the sharing. I'm going to look at this on the personal account, and you can see right here it's still not showing it. I'm going to refresh that page, and right there it is now visible for me to view that spreadsheet, which makes it super easy. Now, the Wavy News video that I had down here, you can see it's still asking me for permission. Obviously, we haven't shared that yet. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to make sure I got to keep clicking until I see this open in a new tab option. Because I have joined the text box with the video, when I select it, it groups the whole thing, so it doesn't give you that option. So you may need to click on it a second time. We're going to open this in a new tab. Now this time you'll notice it took me to the video itself, so the interface is different. I wanted to show you this because there's no big share button anywhere there on the screen. So to fix that, we just look up here in that three-dot menu where it says more actions. I'm going to click that, and there you can see is that share button. Same thing, I'm going to click it. Rather than specify the people, I'm going to select advanced, and I'm going to change. In this case, you can see a lot of people have viewed it. I'm going to simply find where it says specific people can access, and I'm going to hit change, and I'm going to say public on the web. I'm going to hit save once again. Make sure that that says anyone on the internet can find and view. Make sure you didn't accidentally change that to edit or something like that. And then hit done. Now I'm going to jump back over to my personal account, You can see there, I'm going to refresh the page, and now the video is accessible. So from here, instead, what we want to do is we want to open up Google Drive. Now in this case, what I've done is I've already created a folder, but just in case you wanted to, you can go to wherever you want to place these files. You're going to click New, Folder, give it a designated name, and voila, here's our folder. From here, I can share whatever I want to inside of this folder. But rather than individually right-clicking, going to share, following the same share process, private only you can access, I hit change, yada, yada, yada. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify that by backing up to where I can see the folder. And you can see that right here, I'm simply going to right-click on the folder, hit share, go to advanced, and this time, private only you can access, I can change that to public on the web, and right here I want to make sure can view only. I do not want to give them organize, edit, or add permission, because then they can delete stuff. I just want it to say view. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to hit done, and now anything that I place in this folder will automatically be shared. Now with documents like this, whether you're on a spreadsheet, if you're on Google Docs or things, always up here in the title, you'll see that there is this move option. And when I select that, it allows me to navigate through all of these folders. So for example, we'll do that with the spreadsheet. I'm going to click on move in the corner, and I'm going to simply navigate down. I think I've put all of these under training inserts, technology training, online classroom. That was the folder that I shared. And I'm going to just hit move here. It says this item will be visible to everyone who can see it, who can see online classroom. So I say move. So what that did was that automatically updated the sharing options for me. So now when I go back to that personal view and I refresh it, you can see that that's now visible again. So from here on, all I have to do, not that, is drop whatever I want right into this folder, and it's automatically shared and visible on the internet.